All right, Robert Hutchcraft, Sean Holman, Advanced Hearing Technologies how-to videos. Today we're going to talk about the advantages of the three different hearing aids that we sell here on our e-com site. First and foremost is the custom power BTE. You'll notice, and you see these folks, you see these hearing aids on people. Now, a lot of people have big old molds, and I don't think those are necessary all the time. Sometimes they are. You have to have a full shell if you want every dB of power that hearing aid got. But a lot of time you can have the mold in this type of, it's a Canal type of mold, got a little helix stem on there, but that's nearly invisible right there. Now you can see it's got a thicker tube. It doesn't have the thin tube technology, and that thick tube allows those low frequencies to roll down through there unimpeded and come out of that mold into your ear. And so people with profound hearing loss or severe hearing loss need low frequencies and high frequencies, and that's what that sound delivery system right there with the custom mold along with the big old thick tube will give you. Sean was showing us the back of this hearing aid. It also offers directional microphones. You're looking at the back pointing microphone now. That picks up sounds behind you. And then here's your forward-looking microphone. That's a forward-looking microphone setup. And again, in background noise situations where you're trying to hear people in front of you and not behind you, you push the button down at the bottom. Switch it over to memory 2 for background noise reduction. A few different things will happen. I'll drop the low frequencies a little bit. I'll turn that back mic off for sure, right? We'll turn off those people sitting there talking and carrying on behind you. And we'll enhance those high frequencies just a little bit. You know, we have our most trouble hearing those consonant high frequency sounds when there's a noise in the background or ambient sounds like people talking. The full shell or full molded BTE allows the most power that you can get from a hearing aid. And so that's what it's built for. So a lot of people buy these hearing aids from me, and they aren't really worried about what it looks like, although I'll try to make it look aesthetically pleasing anytime I can. But their concerns aren't the looks of the hearing aid or what people are thinking. Their concerns are not buying a new hearing aid for 5, 10, maybe 15 years. And with this type of hearing aid, you don't have to use, if it's a power aid, you don't have to use all the power. We'll program to whatever hearing loss you have. I don't care what it is. But as that hearing loss changes, it's very simple and of course free at my company. You just mail it on into one of our offices and we'll bump that power up for you as your hearing loss changes. Generally has to be done every couple of years. So now we're going to talk about the open fit hearing aid. It has thin tube technology. It's not designed for a great amount of low frequencies to come down that little bitty tube. That is a garden hose, just like the power BT we just saw. That is only directing the sound like water going through a hose, but you can see it's a quarter of the diameter, and once that lays against the head, as Sean will show us here in a minute, it literally becomes invisible. They've made that behind the ear part lay back behind the ear, and then that thin tube lays up against your head, and as you can see there's an open dome on this hearing aid. For folks that have occlusion problems or in the past put a custom hearing aid in their ear, you can see right through this. That's called open dome. That eliminates that I'm down in a barrel, my voice sounds funny, I sound like I'm in a well. It's called occlusion. That eliminates it. You can see the little tail on that, and that goes down in the bowl. Some people need these, some people don't. I trim them down a little bit or completely off if they're unnecessary. And so, again, we have backward-looking microphones on this hearing aid. That's the reverse-looking microphone. You got your memory button right down at the bottom. The forward-looking microphone is, again, right underneath where the tube goes. And that looks for the sounds in front of you. And again, very simply, in noisy situations, you turn off the back mic, you go to memory 2. It's very straightforward stuff. Some advantages here: aesthetics. When you put this hearing aid on, you have a tremendous amount of power, but you're not using it all. This thin tube is for when you want to buy a hearing aid that's going to last 5 or 10, maybe longer, years, But you're still sticking to the aesthetics a little bit, and for as long as you can, you want a nice looking hearing aid and it to blend in a little bit. Well, now that's what you get right there. As Sean's going to demonstrate, when the day comes, 10 years down the road, you need more power than this thin tube can give you, and maybe you don't care as much about cosmetics. You just unscrew it. You go for about $50 and have a molded BTE tube put on there. And as Sean's going to show you here, like I said, anywhere you can get, and you just put that molded right back on there. This is that little open fit hearing aid. You go get you a molded BTE tube, and now you've just opened up another 30, 35, 40 decibels of power on this hearing aid. That was the open just 5 seconds ago, and we switched it over. As you can see in just a few seconds, we've switched that over to a very powerful hearing aid. And so, like I said, the advantages here is you start off with the open, you get the sound you need for as long as you need it, and then down the road, as your choices are eliminated by more and more hearing loss, you've got the power right there. It costs nothing to send it into one of our offices and get it programmed with more power. You can send us an impression, and I'll make you a mold for $50, or generally you can go see someone and get one for about $50. That's what that's what we charge, about $50 to make an impression and a mold of your ear. The next up, Rick. This is the Rick. Now let's compare the Rick side by side with the open. Sean? Very nice. Here's some differences. With the open hearing aid, you've got the tube. It's a garden hose, and it's directing that sound out by forcing it down that tube, and that's what we're looking at right there. With the Rick, you've got wires going down from the hearing aid itself, and those are leads right there. Point to those leads going down in there. There they are. And there's wires going down the tube as well, and those are connected to the speaker. Those are wires, but they make them so doggone thin, once that's up against your head you can't see it, and it goes to the speaker. And give us a side angle of that speaker, Sean. And there's your little speaker right there. It has an open dome on it. You can see right through that dome. And yeah, right through it. And so it also eliminates occlusion. Now here's your advantage for a Rick. Rick means receiver in the canal. The thin tube technology cannot get a tremendous amount of low frequencies down it. This, however, doesn't have a thin tube. This has got wires going to a speaker at the end. That speaker, you can get all the low frequencies you want out of that baby. Now, as your hearing loss changes, you may have to seal it up and take that dome off there and put a closed dome on there, or even for that matter, go to a molded hearing aid. But again, all your power is right there in the base of that device, and as you need it, as always with our offices, it's free. I've said it a number of times, but it's important to understand. A lot of people will charge you for that. A lot of people will charge you for it. A lot of people will charge you for it and not know what they're doing. We have state licensed specialists with some of the most sophisticated speech mapping equipment in the world. Cost me about $15,000 a piece of equipment to program these hearing aids. So I'm not going to let some knucklehead mess around with it. My guys know exactly what they're doing, and your hearing aid will come programmed properly, and as it needs programmed, again, there's no charge to come in or send it. You come into the office I got. Send it to us if you're not within our range, and we'll program that baby for you and send it right back to you. Again, we're talking about the differences between the power, fully molded BTE, the open fit, thin tube technology. It's a little more cosmetic here, a lot more cosmetic actually. It's invisible, as you're going to see in a minute. And then the Rick. That's the latest technology out. Receiver in canal. Means the speaker goes down literally into your canal, and there's little wires running up that tube that connect to the base back in the back. And so again, Robert Hutchcraft here, Sean Holman with me. Advanced Hearing Technologies how-to video, the differences between the powerful BTE with the custom mold, the open fit hearing aid, and the receiver down in the canal hearing aid. And we can see that Sean is modeling for us the fully custom molded BTE. It's the most powerful hearing aid in the world. Oftentimes you'll see this hearing aid with a full shell mold. A lot of times that's unnecessary. This is a third shell mold, and it's very low profile. It's fairly cosmetic looking, and it'll fit about 95% of the hearing losses out there. When you do see a full shell mold, or when I have to fit a full shell mold, that's because that person needs all the power they can get. That's as simple as that. We build that full mold in there to seal that sound in, so that it can't escape. No matter how much sound pressure comes out or how loud you turn that hearing aid, it can't escape out of that mold. And when you see a full shell mold, you know that basically that person needs all the power that they can get out of that hearing aid. And so this is a fully custom 1/3 shell mold, and it will fit 95% of the hearing losses out there and give you plenty of reserve power on top of that. And here Sean's demonstrating for us, or modeling for us, the RIC hearing aid. And again, you can't see the thing. They're literally invisible when you get them in there right. And as I said, RIC is receiver in the canal. I'll zoom in on just a little bit here, just to show you. Once you get in a little closer, you know, you just barely pick up that tube. But folks, this is your hearing loss. This is your quality of life we're talking about. Who cares? My father wears these hearing aids. Didn't want to wear hearing aids, sold hearing aids himself, so did my grandfather. And so it was like pulling tooth from an alligator to get him to wear hearing aids. And I brought him home a set of these RICs right here, and he loves them. He would not go out of his home without those hearing aids, and wears them everywhere. And so, again, what you're looking at here is a RIC, receiver in the canal. Once it's properly inserted, as you can see right here, it's literally invisible. And as you can see here, or can't see for that matter, we've got an open fit hearing aid in. I've got it zoomed to about 3 feet, and as you can see, there's no way to see this hearing aid once it's in your ear. I'm even going to zoom in a little bit, but an open fit and the RIC goes away when you put it in your ear. Now you just a little bit start to see a glare on that tube from the light. Well, you take that light away, and again that disappears. And so again, the only thing you can see about that hearing aid is a little bit of that tube, and it does, for the most part, disappear.